Imagine the endless ocean 10,000 years ago. A man is walking along the coast of New Guinea. He had a very bad day. Hunting was not successful, and the berries were bitter. His stomach was completely empty. He angrily pulls a stem of tall grass. The man starts to chew it just because he is hungry, and suddenly he stops. Instead of the usual taste of greenery, juice fills his mouth. It is thick, sticky, and incredibly sweet. The man quickly calls his tribesmen. Soon the whole island is doing nothing but chewing this cane. This is how people became participants in the greatest experiment in human history. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad to see you on my channel. If you are here for the first time, I will remind you of an important thing. Here we practice the English language first of all. This text is specially adapted for level A2. You can listen to it in the background. You can read it from the screen at the same time as the audio. You can also use it to practice your pronunciation. Today we will talk in detail about sugar. Let's go. Sugarcane did not stay in one place. It began to jump from island to island with people on boats. For centuries, the cane slowly drifted through Indonesia and the Philippines. Finally, it reached the shores of India. And there, the first technical breakthrough in history happened. This happened about 2,500 years ago. An Indian peasant got tired of chewing hard sticks. History did not save his name for us. He threw the sugarcane into a pot and put it on the fire. Perhaps he just wanted to boil it, but by chance he forgot to remove the pot from the coals. The man just went to sleep. In the morning, he saw a real miracle. The water had evaporated, and a solid mass lay at the bottom. It was brown. He broke off a piece and tasted it. The man realized that this was a concentrate of pure pleasure. This is how the technology of crystallization was born in India. Sugar turned from wild food into an important product. Now it could be stored for years. It could be hidden in bags. It could be carried by caravans across entire continents. Several more centuries pass. In 510 BC, a huge army arrived. These were the tough warriors of the Persian king Darius I. They lived for years in the dust of military campaigns. They were used to the taste of dry meat and plain flatbreads. Darius enters a captured Indian village. He sees strange brown crystals on the table. The king tries them carefully. His eyes widen with surprise. He had never experienced anything like this in his life. Honey? No, honey smells like flowers and always sticks to your hands. And this is like sweet salt that you can carry in your pocket. Darius was an experienced strategist and politician. He instantly realized one thing. This is not just tasty food. It is power. He orders to take the cane seedlings to Persia. He also takes the best master boilers. There he hides them behind the high walls of his gardens. The king declares sugar a special royal dessert. The secret of production was protected very strictly. It was more important than the drawings of the newest catapults. Persia held a monopoly on sweetness for centuries. They sold sugar to their neighbors for huge amounts of money. But no secrets live forever. First, Alexander the Great completely defeats Persia. He finds these hidden supplies of brown gold. He spreads the news about it among all the Greeks. Later, the Arabs take over the relay. They were fanatical scientists and brilliant traders. They literally hacked the Persian technology. Somewhere in Baghdad, an Arab alchemist was working. He experimented with different filters. He thought of adding ordinary lime to the boiling syrup. The result was completely amazing. For centuries, the juice had remained cloudy and brown, and now it suddenly became clear and transparent. The result was white, sparkling sugar. From that moment, the world began to truly go crazy. The Arabs began to build very complex irrigation systems in the deserts. They grew cane everywhere, from Egypt to the south of Spain. In the 11th century, Crusader knights burst into Palestine. They came from cold and dark Europe. There, they encountered this Arab miracle. Before, their only dessert was forest honey. The taste of pure sugar was a shock for the knights. They took it home in bags like a great treasure. Sugar was equal to captured holy relics. Venetian merchants quickly realized the profit. They understood what they could build an empire on. The merchants bought all the ports and organized the logistics. They became the main sugar dealers in Europe. At that time, sugar was considered a rare spice, like pepper or cinnamon. It was brought from very distant countries. First, the bags of sugar traveled on ships by sea. Then they were carried on horses across high mountains and dangerous deserts. The delivery was very long and difficult. Every trader wanted to get a profit. In London in 1319, a pound of sugar cost 2 shillings. For the same money, you could buy 2 fat sheep. This is a lot of money. For comparison, an ordinary worker received only 1 penny a day. To buy 1 pound of sugar, he had to work for almost a month. Sugar was given to kings at coronations. It was used to pay for huge estates. It was passed on in wills as an inheritance. Sugar was on the list alongside ancestral castles. To show their wealth, noblemen made orders to chefs. They created huge sugar sculptures. These were entire castles and fountains made of sweetness. They were shown at feasts and eaten at the end of the evening. It was a symbol of the highest status. But a real and bloody stage of history began in 1493. Christopher Columbus was preparing for his second voyage. He throws a bundle of cane cuttings into the hold. Columbus plants them on the island of Haiti. He is surprised to see the result. The cane grows there at a very fast speed. The Caribbean basin turned out to be an ideal greenhouse. But there was one problem. Sugar cane is not wheat. You have to cut it with a heavy machete under the sun. Then it must be boiled in huge vats. And you must do this in 24 hours. If you are late, the juice will quickly ferment. Then everything will turn into useless sour liquid. White colonists were not used to the tropical heat. They died from exhaustion and diseases in a week. And then the most cynical decision was made. It was necessary to organize a conveyor for delivering people from Africa. This is how sugar created the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were carried across the ocean in chains. This was done only to feed the giant sugar machine. Sugar was called white gold, but in fact, it was soaked in sweat and blood. The economy of Europe in the 18th century literally depended on this product. Sugar islands were incredibly valuable. In 1763, France lost a war to Britain. The French gave away all of huge Canada without thinking twice. They gave away all the forests and all the furs. They wanted to keep the tiny island of Guadeloupe. Why did they do this? Because one Guadeloupe brought in more money. It was more profitable than an entire wild continent. By 1800, sugar had become a very popular product in France. People got used to drinking coffee and tea with sugar. This became a daily habit for city residents. When the British fleet closed the ports, sugar disappeared from the shops. The price for it increased dozens of times. This caused great dissatisfaction in society. Napoleon was a smart politician. He understood that sugar was a symbol of comfort. If you take away people's usual comfort, they will start to criticize the government. Therefore, he decided to turn this problem into his victory. He wanted to show that France could produce everything it needed by itself. Thus, the beet became a political weapon against England for him. It was not a matter of survival from hunger. It was a matter of peace in the country and economic independence. Napoleon wanted France to be great and self-sufficient. Napoleon called the best chemists and set a task: find sugar in Europe, or I will find a replacement for you. And in 1811, a chemist brings him a report. Sugar was found in an ordinary beet. Before, it was used only to feed livestock. Napoleon did not hesitate for a minute. He pours huge amounts of state money into the beet. He exempts farmers from taxes. He builds hundreds of new factories. By the time of his fall, all of Europe already knew the secret. Sweetness can literally be dug out of the ground. This can be done in the cold north. The Russian Empire watched this process with interest. It did not have overseas colonies, but it had endless black soil. In the middle of the 19th century, a real industrial explosion happened. It was not a gradual development. It was a real jump. In a couple of decades, modern factories grew up. Before, cows simply grazed in these places. It was a grand technological race. Russian industrialists bought the best machines. They brought equipment from Belgium and England. They built schools and hospitals at the factories. Entire cities grew up around the factories. Breeders fought for every % of sweetness. They turned a fodder vegetable into a high-tech raw material. By 1913, Russia became the second sugar producer in the world. High-quality and cheap sugar began to take over markets. It pushed out colonial cane even in England. Sugar kings appeared, whom the whole world knew. Their capital was simply huge. They could build railroads on their own. They could maintain entire fleets. Sugar became the foundation of the economy of many countries. State power was built on it. Later, oil would take its important place. Today, sugar has stopped being a symbol of luxury. It has stopped being a reason for wars. It has turned into an ordinary and affordable product. Sugar is now in every home. Today, the world produces about 180 million tons a year. Modern technologies work cleanly and efficiently. The possibilities of sugar turned out to be wider than just cooking. Today, eco-friendly packaging is made from it. It is even used to make fuel for cars. Scientists are looking for a use for every stem and root. The history of this grass is a history of progress. It is a history of human curiosity. Sugar has become an important link in world trade. It has made our lives a little easier. And now you add a spoonful of sugar to your cup, you are simply using the result of a long journey. Humanity went through it for the sake of comfort. Now tea drinking is just a pleasant moment of the day. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.